working with Media One Center, Sierra Leone. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm Laurel Sunobo from Benin, freelance science journalist and IMO science collaborator. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I am Ibrahim Hassan, a freelance journalist freelancing with PR Nigeria, Arewa Agenda, and In-Flight Magazine. I am from Nigeria.
Which helps crop grow better. It is also in the seeds that we grow. It is also the clothes that we wear and everything around us and everything that sustains us is biodiversity. So, Convention on Biological Diversity, which is CBD in short, has 3 pillars. These are conservation of biodiversity, which is obviously it is all about that. And then we have 2 other pillars: sustainable use of biological diversity and ensuring that whenever we use this biodiversity, there's equitable access to the resource and also equitable sharing of benefits that have arisen out of its use. So this is very important. Keep these 3 pillars in mind because we are going to talk about these again and again over the next few 20 minutes or so. So when the CBD was put in place, one very important thing that came out was that every country has sovereign rights over their biodiversity, which is again very important, which means that anyone who accesses this biodiversity has to take permission of that country and have some kind of contracts put in place. And it's only then that they can access it. To help this access and benefit sharing, in 2010, the Nagoya Protocol was put in place. Again, Nagoya Protocol is one of the 3 protocols that are under the CBD. So the Nagoya Protocol was put in place and it sets out rules on how access and benefit sharing should be implemented. It mandates that every time a person accesses a genetic material, there should be mutually agreed terms. These are called the MAT, and there should be prior informed consent from the community. This is called the PIC. And to help all these negotiations, all these contracts happen, the CBD put in place the Access and Benefit Sharing Clearing House, under which, that gives out, whenever anyone accesses, they have to take permission, they have to put the data on this Access and Benefit Sharing Clearing House. So as of now, there are 5754 internationally recognized certificates of compliance that are in that database, out of which only 287 are from Africa, and only 21 are from West Africa. So that's one area that you can look at. What are these 21 IRCCs that have been given out to West African countries? As of now, 142 countries have ratified the Nagoya Protocol, but only around 25 countries have put ABS procedures in place. This makes it very difficult for people who want to access or even share benefits to actually do this. So let's talk a little more about the basics. I would like you to understand how the Convention on Biological Diversity works. So the Secretariat of the CBD is in Montreal, and the parties meet every 2 years, as I said earlier. So it has three subsidiary bodies which take care of the work over the years. These are subsidiary body on scientific technique. The second one is subsidiary body on implementation, which is the SBI. And just last year, another subsidiary body was put in place, which is subsidiary body on Article 8J and other provisions of the CBD. This is very interesting because it is talking about indigenous communities and indigenous peoples and local communities, which those communities. So, advocate is resolved. So, I would also like to say that just like IPCC take care of all the scientific work of climate change, the IPBES or the intergovernmental latest report that they came out with in 2024, in the population that they were monitoring, there was a decline of 73%. They are actually 35,000 population trends and around 5,500 species of amphibians. They are driven by food systems. As I said, food is one of the most important things that we get out of the biodiversity. Other than that, we also have overexploited biodiversity. So, as I mentioned earlier, among the three pillars, IPBES says that there are 50,000 wild species that we use and we discuss. How do we report on biodiversity? As I mentioned earlier, there are three things that you need to take care of in all the stories that you do. Yeah, I'm happy to answer all your questions. So do not worry about that. I can give you all the data. I just shared some links on the chat. You should take a look at that. Some of them are reports that have been done by us at Center for Science and Environment, and others are global reports that have been made by CBD and So the first thing that I said, in all the stories that you do, you need to take care of the three pillars of the CBD, because they cover everything that comes under biodiversity. Why do I say that? If you're doing a story on extinction of an animal, that is about conservation of biodiversity. It just gives you some kind of a block to work within, because you can go anywhere. So it's good to keep these three pillars in mind. At this moment, what the world is talking about is the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which was adopted in 2022 in the 15th Conference of Parties that took place in Canada. So it has 23 targets and 4 goals that the world is talking about. So you can take a look at these targets, see what they are, and you can report on the developments on them also. And over the years till 2030, the Conference of Parties is going to monitor and assess the development that is happening on this subject. So that's one thing, easy to monitor global negotiation that you can report on. Other than that, you should also simultaneously, if you're looking at global negotiations, because there are so many things that you can write about when you come to biodiversity. You can talk about biodiversity as it affects communities, That would mean you go out on the field and report, talk to communities, see what they are preserving, see what they are growing, harvesting, how much they are earning out of that, how much livelihood is there. And Africa is really fortunate to have a lot of animal biodiversity, which is a good option for tourism. So these are ground reports that you can work on at any time. So you will be taking care of all the three pillars if you go out and do ground reporting. But then there is also the global negotiations that you can take report on, which I said Conference of Parties of the Convention on Biological Diversity, and the second one, another one that is specifically looking at food crops, is the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources for Food and Agriculture. They are working on agricultural biodiversity, so that's also one important aspect that you can follow. Does anyone have any questions? Should we do a round of questions now, if that helps?
So, Doc, you were giving examples of some of
Please,
the.
she wants to know if anyone has a question.
Hello? I could not
Hi,
get that
Doc.
question.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Right. You're just giving an example, so which is I think is fine. If like you continue and after like you finish everything, then you can ask us question and we can able to give some contribution, especially when it comes to the way and manner how to report on these stories.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so my basic presentation per se is done. So I'm open to questions. So, well, what I can do is go by the questions that were shared with me and maybe talk about that. So, how does biodiversity reporting differ from general environmental reporting? First of all, it is a science.
I think somebody has a question.
You need to have data. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Doctor. I didn't get the three pillars clearly. I just want you to please mention those three pillars of reporting on biodiversity again. Thank you so much.
Okay. So the three pillars are very simple. So it is about conservation of biodiversity. The second one is sustainable use of this biodiversity. And the third one is ensuring that there's equitable sharing of benefits that arise from the use of this biodiversity. So everything that happens under CBD is under these three pillars. So if they're talking about access and benefit sharing, that's the third pillar of it. If they're talking about how invasive species need to be reduced, that's about conservation. If they're talking about how there should be tourism to increase livelihoods, they're talking about sustainable use of biodiversity. If they're talking about growing indigenous seeds, that also comes under the sustainable use of biodiversity. So these are the three pillars of the convention, and because they cover everything that comes under biodiversity, that's why I suggested that whenever you are going out and reporting, just keep these three pillars at the back of your mind, so you know that you are under the purview of CBD per se, and you have some kind of guidelines to your report. I hope that answers to some extent.
Yes, it did. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Okay. Is there any other question? No, I was talking about how this reporting is different from general environmental reporting. So it depends a lot on data. It is a science field, and you need to be technically correct in many of the things. So the language that you use in your story is very important. You need to have, as far as possible, you should have data to corroborate your story, and that's very difficult to find, which is why I said there's very little reporting on biodiversity per se, because it is difficult. And unlike in the case of climate change, IPCC, just like IPCC gives data for climate change, the IPBES is not that consistent, though they do give a lot of data, and they are trying to come out with many, many more reports, which are very useful in getting the data. As of now, the data is in short supply. So you need to be very careful about that. You should talk to scientists and you should talk to policymakers. For example, one story that I would think about doing is take a look at what the policies are in the country and how they are working on biodiversity. So are they protecting? Are they actually effective? And even more important, how much money is being put into work on biodiversity? That is a big, big problem across the world, because the financial resources available for biodiversity are really very low. And at the last COP, the COP16 that happened in Colombia, this was a major, major problem that had to be resolved, but finally nothing came out of it much, because all these three conventions are run by money that governments donate. So the developed countries are supposed to give money just like for biodiversity, just like they are supposed to give for climate change. But the money that every country has is limited. And when you ask them to give for biodiversity, they cut down from climate change or vice versa. And for desertification, that also happens again. So it's a difficult situation when it comes to finances. Countries have to figure out ways of finding money to protect their own biodiversity to a large extent. I see another hand. You can go ahead and answer a question, ask.
So I just want to ask something for the benefit of those who join after you started your presentation. Can you give us examples of some of these biodiversities, diversity we talked about? Yes, some of them actually joined late and they might have not heard what you mentioned. Examples of biodiversity, like if you can tell us the ecosystem, the species, like give us examples, basic example for people to understand here.
Okay. So, as I had said, just a minute, I will just answer again. Just a minute, let me find out from the definition. So, what I had said is, I had given a definition of biodiversity and why it is important. So, I'm giving the textbook definition. It is available on the CBD site, and this is what they are saying. It is the variability among living organisms from all sources, which include the terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystems, such as the rivers, ponds, etc. And it is also about the ecological complexes of which they are part. That means the ecosystems in which they are available. This includes the diversity within species, between species, and of ecosystems. So the examples that I had given of biodiversity were things like we depend on biodiversity for our food, which is the most important aspect of biodiversity. We get our fiber, we get our cloth material for our cloth, construction material, fuel, wood. Everything comes out of the biodiversity that is around us. And over centuries, we have learned how to use this biodiversity to the best. For example, local communities in India, at least, they know what kind of weed can be consumed, which season it should be consumed in. So this knowledge that comes around biodiversity is also very important. Indigenous communities have these. That is why, like that is part of the Convention on Biological Diversity too. It is also about the knowledge about the biodiversity that is around us. Whenever you are reporting, please do try to ensure that you talk to experts. There's no story without talking to experts. Also, always talk to community people. What I have experienced over years is that you need to talk to community regularly to be able to create some kind of a bond with them, so they tell you what is happening around their biodiversity. For example, if they find that some of their crops are not growing, or the seeds are not available, or if climate change is affecting flowering of some kind of a tree, they are monitoring it on day-to-day basis because they are using the biodiversity. So you need to talk to them. Communities hold all the knowledge, and they are the best source of any kind of a story lead. So do talk to them. And I had actually thought it would be a very interactive session. So if anyone has any more questions, please do ask. And I will try to go ahead with other examples.
Yes,
What I would...
Doc. Okay, it's good really, because especially when it comes to this story, I think most of the thing that is more important, like asking the people who are living in this particular community, because at the end of the day, you can able to get what you want. As a journalist, it's not like, for me, what I am saying, it's not like for you just to sit down and write in out of perspective or out of your own opinion. So what about at the end of the day? My question here is now, what about at the end of the day, you ask for experts to get their own view about it. So what about, my question here is, because you mentioned stakeholders, you mentioned community people who are like the stakeholders. Is that not so?
We are not getting her. I think she is still on mute.
Yeah, she's still now.
No,
she's not.
I think my network was bad. So what I was saying, I said because when it comes to the story, this is a very important story, especially like people who are living in a particular community. You need like to interview the community people. You mentioned community people, you mentioned stakeholders. So what about like if you want to involve the experts in it? So at the end of the day, you can able to get a diverse, and you can get a diverse story at the end of the day. You have different sides of the story, the experts, the community people, and the stakeholders. So I don't know, what do you think?
So
do you think we need the stakeholders in these particular stories?
Yes, you do. Stakeholders, what do you mean by stakeholders? The community?
I think she specifically mentioned expert opinion.
Okay, expert opinion. Yes, you do need to an extent, but then you will not be able to get them always. So you need to figure out a way of corroborating whatever you're writing about. Maybe talk to many more community members than just one or two, and then do like it's a difficult thing, but then there are people, there are NGOs who are supporting these supporting communities, who would also make a good resource for any kind of reportage. So you can talk to, if experts are not there, you can talk to the NGOs and groups that represent the communities. Is that what you were looking for? See, you need all these things for any kind of reporting. You need different kind of opinions in all cases. So it's not that biodiversity reporting is any different. It's just that it's a technical subject. You need to have some kind of an understanding to it, and everyone has that understanding. Everyone eats. Everyone knows what how they're using biodiversity. So it's not a big thing to have the knowledge, the technical knowledge about what is growing around you. But yes, what misses out is, for example, if I'm writing about some kind of a plant and I don't know the Latin name of it, or I don't know the scientific name of it, I don't even know then how to do more research about it. So you need some basic kind of an understanding that every plant or an animal would have a Latin name that is associated to it. And once we get to know it from the local name, there's a whole lot of information that we can access. So it's easier. So some kind of technical knowledge is needed. So, I would like to share one example which is not from West Africa, because as I said, I was not able to find much from West Africa. But then there is, from South Africa, there's this very popular and very well-known case of access and benefit sharing that happened on a plant called rooibos. So this plant is used as a herbal drink, as a kind of a tea. So lots of industry use it, but it was actually the knowledge about how it can be used belonged to two communities in that area in South Africa. That was the San and Khoi community. So the San and Khoi community got together, and with support of the government, they came up with a contract with the industry that were using these plants. And now there is a system under which the companies do give part of their profits, 5% or 1%, something like that, of their profits. Interesting story that the knowledge about the plant belonged to the people. They knew about it, but it needed some kind of support of the government to get this contract done with the industry. So if you can figure out some kind of cases in your area of access and benefit sharing, that's a very interesting subject. And so is the whole issue of conservation. There would be international organizations doing some kind of conservation work in the country. Also, as I was talking about the financial resources, so the Global Environment Facility provides all the funds that are available for conservation and any kind of work on biodiversity. Do take a look at the GEF, or the Global Environment Facilities website. They have a database of all the funds that they have provided to all the countries. So I was looking at what they have given to West Africa from the special fund called Global Biodiversity Framework Fund that was launched in 2022 when the 15th COP took place and the KMGBF targets were put in place. So at that time, this GBFF fund was put in place, and they have given, out of the 40 projects that they have funded since 2022, one is in Western Africa. I don't actually remember the exact one, but there was one. So that's one place you can look for story ideas. What is getting funded in your region? That can make a good story. And I will just look at if someone can meanwhile ask a question, I will look for the website email URL and give it.
So I have a question here. The question is stating, what ethical concerns should we keep in mind when reporting on sensitive biodiversity areas like sacred forests or endangered species habitats?
Can you explain your question a little bit?
So most often, let's say here in Africa, for instance, there are certain places in our environment whereby we are being told you can't go there. and all those stuff. Then there are certain animals that are just being used for various customs and those customs and traditions, which I think is kind of putting those species into it's endangering the lives of those species, as well as some of the places we are being told we can't go to, like the sacred forests. So in terms of this biological diversity topic we are referring to, when it comes to places like this or this kind of habitats, how do we give reports concerning it? Because sometimes we might not be allowed to go into the place to see what exactly is happening over there.
Okay. So I can only give you examples from what happens in India on this problem. So we have protected areas in India, just like Africa, and access is very limited in many of these. However, as you said, there are people who live there. There are who are using the biodiversity. So you can you can contact any of the communities, maybe, if they have any kind of a organized representative, and that is one way to do it. Otherwise, unless you can also ask for permission from the government. So that's another way of doing it. There are research stations that are inside these protected areas. Again, the scientist and the researcher is another good source of information for what is happening there. Because when a government makes a protected area, it also has to provide reports on this to CBD and also to all other authorities who are funding this protected area. So once someone is creating those reports, that's the person to contact for information. And maybe unless it's a problem for the communities living in those areas, for example, there are uncontacted tribes in Amazon, you cannot go in there because you might take diseases to those places, or you might harm those areas. But in most of the places, you can actually get some kind of an NGO or a research organization that is working there. So that's one good source. Also, take a look at the reports that they come out with. That would also suggest and guide you in how you can write about those areas.
Doc, I have a question. Can I go ahead?
Sorry?
Hi, Doc. I want to ask my internet. I don't know why. Can I go ahead? Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. Please go ahead. I can't hear you.
Okay.
Are you saying anything?
Okay. I want to know how. Oh my God, the internet's Africa.
The network is always an issue everywhere.
I know, Africa. So can I go ahead? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So how can journalists balance scientific accuracy with public understanding? Do you get the question?
No, I did not. Your voice broke.
So
can you write it down? You can write it down.
Type your question. Yeah, maybe you type it in the chat.
So I'm looking at the other questions. Also, is it possible to integrate the views of conservation members in our biodiversity reporting? Yes, obviously, because they have been following this for some time. Till the time we have an understanding of what is happening, always talk to as many people as possible. And that will help you make networks also, which will help you get exclusive stories, because once they know that you're not going to make mistakes in your stories, they're going to share their reports with you. So yes, do talk to conservation members? Did you conversation members conservation? Okay, I might will want you to elaborate on ways to measure biodiversity. See, as a journalist, I don't think we can go out and measure biodiversity on our own. We can ask communities if they have seen any changes. We can ask researchers if they have seen any changes. So we have to report. So that's the cardinal rule of reporting. We are not out there to create the data. But yes, once our data, for example, if one community member says that this tree I'm not finding this tree anymore in my area, you can go to 10 other people and find out more about that tree, and that is your database. So that's how you will measure biodiversity loss, for example. So that's one way. Okay, how can journalists balance scientific accuracy with public understanding when reporting? Okay, so you need to tell stories. That's why talking to communities is very important, because that will give you stories. When you are talking about any kind of a biological issue, biodiversity linked issue, if you're telling the reader about how that is affecting that community member, that's one direct linkage that people can understand. So it's a easy way of doing this. I hope that answers. Scientific accuracy with public understanding. So you need to talk to scientists also. I did not get what you exactly want to know. Okay, in what ways can biodiversity stories inspire action and contribute to conservation efforts at community level? Okay, so this is a very difficult question. What I have seen or experienced is, once there are lots of reportage from any kind of an area, it kind of attracts the attention of governments, policymakers, because like what is happening in that area, they are bothered about that. Why is everyone writing about that? So if, for example, we do multiple stories on something getting extinct or something that is being threatened in an area because of some kind of a reason, for example, agriculture is affecting it, and because we have done 10 stories, it catches the eye of the policymaker, and then they realize, okay, something is happening in that area. They would also try to uh, stop the things that are threatening this biodiversity. So that's how our stories would be very helpful. Okay, does that answer? I'm going to question asked by Kennedy. Farmers have adopted the usage of high chemical fertilizers on their farmland, even though experts have warned about dangers that may arise. Farmers just seem to look on. From your view, what should be done to avert any further damage to the biodiversity ecosystem? So this is again a very interesting question. We do need food. We need to eat that. But the knowledge that whatever is available around us also constitutes food. And this biodiversity is a more reliable and brilliant source of food than what is growing in our fields. So, a couple of stories on that would help farmers also realize that, there's a need to protect this plant or this tree. Also, if you are reporting on sustainable use of some kind of biological product or some kind of a biodiversity, for example, if you are using a plant as medicine, and there is a livelihood option available there, and that plant grows in a field, and because of fertilizers and chemicals, the farmers can see that this plant is going away. But they also get to know that what they're killing, what they're considering as weed, is actually a good source of revenue and they can earn from it. They would try to protect it. They would maybe, try to limit the use of chemicals on their farms. So again, this kind of a story, I have seen this working in India, and this is how we do also report on this problem of how farmers, the way that farmers are practicing. Okay, so I have a question by Nukana, and he's asking, what are the best ways to make biodiversity stories interesting to people who are more concerned about jobs or survival? So you have to tell them that biodiversity is linked to the job and their survival. So, for example, as I said earlier, if you're talking about livelihood options that biodiversity can provide, the use of biodiversity, so that might be of interest to people. They would like to protect it. Or, like if you are talking in fighting climate change, do you think the world is doing enough or just rhetoric? So we are seeing climate change is getting worse and worse day by day. So even if people are actually trying to do something, maybe the knowledge that they have is not sufficient. The impact is not visible. For example, which is why I was saying that the knowledge about biodiversity, and which is with the indigenous community, is very important, because they know how it can be protected and how it can be used to protect also. So this question is more for another class that I would be taking at the end of your thing on climate change. Maybe I would address it there to further think. Anything, all the three conventions that came out of the Earth Summit are not doing very well. They are not very successful. And that is because neither do we have enough knowledge about what needs to be done. Also, there's no money. And there's always this business potential of using the biodiversity and destroying it. It's more than actually sitting down, understanding how it can be used in any other way to generate more revenue. So it's a big bit of a problem, because none of these three conventions are working very well. I will look at another question.
Hello, Doc.
Yeah.
I'm Sheikh Desmond. I have a question, but per se not really a question, but an opinion. My village has a large forest, which is conserved by Guardian Forest National Park. Yeah, but when I normally visit the village, my village people normally grumble that the organization staff are not helping them much. They normally complain about that. And what should I do in order to ensure that the community members benefit from the forest?
So, it is a very difficult thing. You would need to change the policy, because in many of the protected areas, people are not allowed. You are not allowed to access anything from that. However, with the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, the indigenous communities are supposed to have a bigger say in running the protected areas, and then they can actually have uh, better access to the resources in these areas. So this would require some kind of a policy intervention.
Okay, and okay, not per se, and I know I'm aware I'm aware of the policies they have. I can still remember that the time the organization was declared as the organization that is going to protect the forest, they made some policies that will guide the organization members and that of the community members. I'm aware of that. But the point here is that they made some promises to them that they should not kill those animals, those species, animal species in the forest, which of course I'm aware that my community members agreed on that. But they made a promise to them that they have to provide them those domestic animals, which of course they can wear if somebody wants to consume it. They can use it instead of them going to the forest to poach the animals or to hunt the animals, something like that. But the point here is that those promises that were made, the organization members are not fulfilling them. So whenever I visit my people, they complain about that. So I just want to know from your own perspective and what are some of the things I should put in place so that those promises that you have made will be effective.
Maybe you should, what your story should have is the problem that the community is facing, the promises that were made to them, and talk to the government official why those promises were not met. So, like...
Okay. I will do that. So, but considerations I should put in place if I want to do a story on that.
So, community members, officials, and you should also look at data of what is the status of how it is, there would be some kind of a data on how much of poaching is being done in that area. And, from what I can understand is you need at least two groups you need to talk to, community and the government, and support the story by data. What else can we talk about? And look at examples of other protected areas where this kind of a problem might be, do some research on that aspect of it, how other communities are resolving this issue, because the problem would be pervasive across all the protected areas.
Okay, Doc. Thanks very much.
There's a question, how can we do biodiversity stories? How can we biodiversity resonate beyond environmentalist? That is economic risk, cultural loss. So, as I said, the 3 pillars that would take care of the sustainable use. If you do something on sustainable use, that would take care of the economic risk. And if you're talking about cultural loss, that would be the access and benefit sharing. And because that also has the aspect of knowledge of the resource interlinked with it. So that would be one way of doing it. I think I would like to see everyone's story. These are all such very good story ideas that are coming out, but you will need to try to, see. These are not difficult stories. It's only that you need to talk to everyone just like you would talk to in any other story. I don't know if I'm getting the question right. You don't need to write a story like an environmentalist. You are talking about livelihoods. You talk about stories of people, how they can benefit from biodiversity or something like that.
Yeah, okay, Desmond, I think she's talking to you. Desmond, can you get back on? I think she's talking to you.
It's okay. He might have got the answer. Is there any other question that I'm missing? So I think we are also reaching the end of the class. So I would like to see all the story ideas that you can actually come up with. And I will send you my email address. I'm putting down this my email address in the chat. And so you can kind of send me the ideas. We can discuss one-to-one. That would be not an issue with me. So this is my email address. And please do send me your story ideas, and then we can work on each of the stories on one-to-one basis. There's another question that came up. These are the 3 levels of biodiversity: genetic diversity, species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. Can you discuss these diversity levels and what their consideration is when reporting on them? Okay. Okay, this is a very technical question. So, so there are different kinds of ecosystems. For example, you have ecosystem, grasslands, mountains, river ecosystem, marine ecosystems. So this is the diversity in ecosystems that we are considering. Within these ecosystems, there is species diversity. For example, in case of the potato family, and there's so many species that come under the Solanum genus. So those are the species diversity. And within sequenced biodiversity across the world, specifically from developing countries, poor countries, and they are storing these genetic sequences in banks. So they can use it anytime they want to use it, and because the country which have sovereign right, others have used the sequence of the genetic resource, they cannot actually get access to it. So, this is a bit of a problem, and this was discussed at the last COP, where it was decided that a multilateral mechanism would be put in place, where anyone who is using this genetic sequence would need to provide some kind of a monetary benefit to the communities from the supposed area that it has come from, or a special fund called the Kali Fund was made, and the fund from this place can be disbursed to people who put out projects, proposals. So that's one interesting but complicated issue that can be looked at. As I said, from simple stories on conservation right from the ground, where you can talk about, like this person has protected 5 rice varieties. There's a whole other spectrum of stories that you can do on very, very technical scientific issues, which are complicated. Again, there's a whole lot of reading material that can be shared. We recently did a webinar on digital sequence information, and I think it would be of interest to anyone who wants to understand digital sequence information, because it was a conversation which gave all the issues of concern. So let me just pull out that webinar link, and I can share that also. So this is the webinar link. I have see another question. What are the negative impacts of GMO poses to biodiversity ecosystem. So GMOs are very new. We do not know the risk that they can pose, but obviously they would be causing some kind of a risk. This risk is not understood that well. So we should move ahead with caution when it comes to GMOs. One of the protocols under CBD, which is the Cartagena Protocol, looks into this issue. It is on biosafety, and GMO issue comes under the biosafety issues of how things like GMOs or invasive species can impact local biodiversities. So do we go ahead? I think we have really gone. I have passed the time that we were supposed to talk. Is there anything? Should we close the class? Can someone guide me on this?
Yes, so Dr. Varshney, thank you very much for the training. We are very grateful for what you've taught us today. We'll try our best to put it into our works as we make the world know more about biodiversity.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to be here. And I wish I could have been clearer in this. In the next class, I will make a presentation so everyone can actually see what I'm talking about. I did not think of it at this time because I thought it would be a one-to-one conversation. So it was my mistake. Sorry. But next time it would be, I will make a presentation also. So if anyone has any questions, I've given my email address. Please share your story ideas. I would love to see those stories also. And till we meet again, thank you.
Okay, ma'am. And please, you are supposed to give an assignment too, so I'll be glad if you are able to.
Okay. I do have to give specific assignment? And I
Yes,
thought
please.
people can share their own story ideas with me. Would that be a good way to move ahead?
Yes, please. So there's supposed to be an assignment based on what we've learned today for everyone.
Okay, fine. So what I would ask everyone to do is, so look at how communities are conserving biodiversity in your area, in your country. So there would be some kind of example of community conservation. Maybe that is one good way to move ahead. The second idea, if you are not very happy with that idea, so the other thing that you can look at is access and benefit sharing contracts in your countries. I'm writing all this down. Just a minute, I'm writing them. Assignments. One is, this is one idea. The second one is community conservation examples of. Did someone say something?
No, not you, ma'am. I think the person is in his office. It was a mistake.
Okay. So are these two enough? Does anyone want any other idea? Raise hand if people want one more idea. Okay, I don't see, but I anyway will give you another example assignment. So you just have to do one of the above. Please do not do all of them. So I would love to see these ideas and stories from you. Are you saying story idea? Yes, I am saying. I am giving you assignment. If you have any other story idea other than this, which you think is what you want to work on, because I'm sure these stories you would also like them to be published in your publications. So if you have any other ideas, please go ahead with them also. But according to me, these are three things that you could write about. I have written the assignments below above. Tokpa, you asked, please suggest. I have given three assignments just before your question, and you can kind of do any one of those. Esther, is that clear?
Yes, please. That's all for now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And please, to the participants, you are supposed to submit the assignment within the next 24 hours. This is a notice to all the participants. You are supposed to submit the assignment within the next 24 hours. Thank you.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you for today.
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. My
sorry,
name is
I have a question.
Oh, okay. Proceed, please.
So, she just said we have to submit it in the next
Sorry,
24
I made
hours.
a mistake. 24 hours before the next session. So by next week, Thursday, we are supposed to submit our assignments. Please, did everyone get me?
That.
We are supposed to submit it 24 hours before the next session. So by next week, Thursday, everyone is supposed to submit their assignments.
Okay. Did you take the assignment? I think somebody is suggesting that the assignment should be written on the chat here so that they can take it home. So I would suggest too, the assignment should be written down here. Okay. Thank you very much. I want to, Anne, have you finished? Esther?
Yes, please. I'm done now.
Oh, okay. Very well. Thank you so very much. I want to thank Dr. Varshney for the wonderful presentation. Of course, I believe we have learned a lot from the topic she has just treated. My name is Aminu, and of course, I'm the co-organizer of this maiden edition of biodiversity training for African journalists. And at least we have takeaways. She has discussed extensively on what biodiversity is all about. And we all know that why biodiversity matters is because it is our ecosystem. And of course, we have to start amplifying our voices in reporting the challenges we are having with the ecosystem. And it matters because it provides us clean air and water. This is where pollination of our crops happens, and climate regulations, diseases control, and as well as cultural recreational benefits all come from this biodiversity. And of course, we must be very serious with, as journalists, we must be very serious in amplifying our voices in reporting these issues that borders biodiversity so that the policymaker will continue to, discuss around it and make policies that will regulate our ecosystem for us. So I believe that we have learned much from this training. This is the first first training. And of course, we'll be having the next training next week, Friday. You have your takeaways, go back home, and of course, you ponder on what you have learned today. And you have your assignment now, you work on it. So it's going to be practical while we're walking you through the training. It's going to be interactive. We'll be walking you through assignments so that you will be practically involved in understanding what biodiversity is all about. So I want to thank all the participants today. I think the total number of the attendance we have today is that's about 24. I think about 30 or more, over 30 people were shortlisted for this training. And of course, today's attendance is just 4. So please, if you know someone who is shortlisted for this training and is not here today, encourage him or her to also try to attend because we also take attendance very, very seriously. So I think that will be all. If anybody has any question before we'll end the call, please, you should kindly do so. Thank you.
Please, it's not a question though, but a few more rules and regulations in regards to our training meetings now. So to all the participants, if you miss at least 2 sessions, you will not be qualified for a certificate. And if this implies that if you are not qualified for the certificate, you will not be migrated to the GJESHA group that will be launched on the D-Day. And if you miss even one, that means you are not qualified to take any leadership position within the whole group, especially as a country rep. Then anyone who also wants to be a country rep can send the applications, including a statement of purpose, to the president of the association. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, and thank you for that rules.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello. Can you please repeat the last regulation, please?
So anyone who wants to be a country rep, they can send their application, including a statement of purpose, to the president of the association.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
So basically, mine is not a question, but just a comment. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to the team for organizing this unique training. I'm Bill W. Cooper, and then a reporter at the Inquirer newspaper, besides the Liberia. The co-founder said, every participant have their own takeaway, including mine. I have mine, and I'm so excited to be part of this unique training. In as much as I'm not too okay in terms of health, yet I still making my responsibility to join and be part of it, because I believe this is something that we all need. This is something that I believe will help our respective countries. Just a quick recommendation. I'm pleading to the organizer, at least for next training, they should work on the issue of the link, because I believe during the startup, some of us had difficulty in accessing the link, especially joining the meeting in time. Sometimes we try joining, and then you have the organizer or the host who should be the one to log her in, or taking some hard time to do that. I believe we should work on that, because some of us we get access late, and I don't want to be involved again or experience that in the next session. I hope you can look at that too as well. But on the overall, it was well educated, and I learned a lot. I want to say thank you, and I look forward to another interactive and well educated session next Thursday. Thank you.
Okay, so please, our next session is going to be on the 18th of July. That will be next week, Friday. I would like to introduce, with that one, we'll be discussing investigative journalism and biodiversity, using investigative journalism to expose biodiversity threats. We'll have our trainer, that will be Mr. Aminu Adam Muhammad, the Nigerian investigative journalist. He's the managing news director at the North Journals, Nigeria. So we'll have 2 subtopics discussed, and that will be the investigative techniques for biodiversity journalism. Then also digging deeper into how to investigate environmental and biodiversity issues. That will be for the next session. And please, our advice has to join on time, because we'll be checking attendance. Especially for the participants, since there will be certificates to be awarded after the whole training. So attendance is going to be checked throughout the whole session. It's usually supposed to be a 1-hour session. If we are going to close late, at most 1 hour 30 minutes. So please, and those who log in, kindly use your real name so that we can be able to get the correct name for the attendance. Thank you very much. All right. So please, that's all for today. Thanks very much for your presence and attendance. and also your time. We are very grateful. And please don't forget your assignments since we'll be handing them over next week, Thursday. Thank you very much. And have a great evening and great weekend.